Hello, and welcome back to the Argyle CFO Summit. As a reminder, we would love to hear from you. So during each session, we encourage you to submit your questions and comments in the chat section of the platform. Following each presentation, we have set aside time for our speakers to weigh in on your questions. We will also be sharing a link to a survey in the chat, and we appreciate you taking the time to complete it. Thank you again for joining us. Now let's get started. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Mitch Myers, Finance Center of Excellence Domain Expert at SAP. We're excited to have Mitch with us for a thought leadership titled SAP's Vision for Finance in 2030 and How the SAP Strategy Supports It. Welcome, Mitch, and over to you.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today at the CFO Summit hosted by Argyle. My name is Mitch Myers, and I am a domain expert with a finance focus at SAP. Prior to coming to SAP a little over 4 years ago, I came from the industry where I worked as a technology consultant, helping with implementations and capability maturity of SAP solutions. As a management consultant at McKinsey & Company, my most recent position was at a global pharmaceutical company where I was a global process owner managing over $16 billion in transactions going through various SAP solutions. It was a very stressful job, but I am happy to be here today with you to discuss the SAP vision for finance in 2030. Let's get started. So let's talk about how SAP is evolving finance capabilities to really achieve a new vision for finance in 2030 with an AI first, suite first approach. What do you notice about this topic? That's right, there are two firsts. I first saw this at SAP Sapphire when our CEO, Christian Klein, announced this to our customers and to the market. I was thinking, how can you have a strategy with two firsts? What is the second thing you notice about this? There is indeed one first, and the listing of that being primary first indicates it is indeed the most important focus of SAP. The first is our strategy for what we will focus on. And the second is what we ask our customers to focus on to both come together to make 2030 vision for finance a reality. So the rules are being written right now. In preparation for this, I did research on what is the vision for finance in 2030. Deloitte has theirs, KPMG has theirs, Bain has theirs. But being a McKinsey alumni, I reviewed McKinsey's white paper, which laid out a vision for in 2020 for what 2030 would look like. And they recently refreshed that too. And I asked, how relevant is the SAP strategy aligned to that? It turns out they are quite aligned. They had 4, we have 5. Perhaps we over-engineered things. The last thing I wanted to do is speak to you about something that is not relevant. So what McKinsey observed is that 42% of the roles will be different in 2030. That is a lot of change. But why would that be? The top quartile leaders in finance are looking beyond transactions. They have already introduced significant automation, be that close automation orchestration, improving the accounts payable activities with e-invoicing, business networks, and OCR, or centralizing the receivables with automatic follow-up on past due invoices or auto matching of incoming payments to open invoices. These leaders recognize that more focus on efficiency brings less marginal utility. So what are they doing? They are focusing on more value-add activities like FP&A and optimizing working capital within Treasury, so that the majority of their time is on value-add activities and not transactions. But for 2030, we still see our customers on that journey to bring solutions that anticipate with predictive, proactive, and insightful capabilities. They are not there, and SAP is working to get them there. The role of finance is changing from record keeping as scorekeepers that maintain financials, involved in the budget cycle, ensuring the close happen in a timely, accurate manner, moving to become financial stewards, working with and partnering with business stakeholders to improve processes such as accurate accruals, intercompany engagement risk with trading partners. They're moving from finance analysts working with heavy in Excel to working in Power BI, from reporting on after the fact to reporting more real time with dashboards connected to a data lake, a data swamp, or a data lake house. So finance, who has the most trusted data, and they know multiple facets of the business and how it impacts P&L, cash flow, balance sheet. They are well positioned to elevate to the role of strategic partner and be more advisory. So where McKinsey focused on the people and the process in the framework of people, process, and platforms, SAP took a more holistic approach and also is focusing on the platforms and unifying data and putting embedded AI on top of that. And with this, we hope that all organizations can reduce costs by 29% and spend more time focusing on value added activities to grow the business and less time on transactions. So, AI first. What is it? It's really about why the focus is. SAP is no different in that it seems like about every 5 years ago, a company goes through a major shift in their strategy. 5 years ago, SAP made a shift to move to the cloud and to get our customers to come along with us. Why the focus on cloud solutions? It gets our customers out of maintenance and upgrades while enabling them to adopt technology through configuration and not customization. We're in the final stages of that journey and announced last year we are redirecting our focus on AI first as we recognize how important this is to our customers. But what does AI first mean? Let's walk through that. It's not like we can just focus on Finance 2030. There's so many things coming at us, external forces and internal barriers that make this journey a challenge for finance. It always seems like there's external things driving a transformation, be that to offshore, to nearshore, to onshore, from centralized to decentralized, or a merger or divestiture. If it's not going in one direction, it's going in the other, causing us to build the plane while flying it. Have you ever thought that way? Those internal barriers can be just as prohibitive to accomplish those objectives. We have a lot of data, probably 5 times more than we did 5 years ago, but it never quite seems to be enough, accurate, or where we want it. It still seems like we have those manual efforts that keep us working in exporting to Excel. A customer once recently said to me, they spend more time wrangling data and less time analyzing it. This is not where we want to be. So this requires a new era of enterprise management with a focus on AI. For SAP to enable capabilities for finance in 2030, it requires a new way of thinking. The new era is exciting to me because I think it is relevant with big vision, big goals that SAP can achieve. SAP has a deep knowledge of over 50 years of helping companies run better, helping our customers run better. We know the industries, we know the challenges our customers face, and how to overcome with robust transactional foundation. There are over 800,000 tables in the back end of an SAP solution, and our data scientists are well positioned to leverage that data to deliver business outcomes, more so than anyone else in the industry. We also realize that AI cannot reach its full potential when data is fragmented across platforms, domains, and business units. I don't know how many times I've worked with companies where one business unit is on one platform and another one is on another. To address that, we have developed a business data cloud to bring together SAP and non-SAP sources. The approach curates the most important details, for example, a sales order, be that from an SAP or non-SAP solution, has some of the most basic attributes: customer ID, delivery date, quantities, prices, all common. And so our approach is to curate the most important details, just enough for analytics and AI to work reliably, and layer on top of that a network of AI agents that can deliver insights, actions, and automation to make more efficient and effective decisions. This layer here is where we are all in on AI, and we are just getting started. So, what is the SAP Business AI approach? Joule is our co-pilot that truly understands your business. It will be the new user experience that orchestrates a set of AI agents and capabilities. But what is an AI agent? It is embedded within SAP applications, be that customer, supply chain, spend, or in our case, financial management. And this embedded within the SAP application can reason, plan, and take action across the SAP business process without requiring human direction. And it is because it knows the business context of what you're trying to accomplish. We are not in the business of large language models, so our approach is to partner in AI where specialization matters, leveraging the ecosystem to do what they're good at, be that Anthropic or Data Robot or Microsoft. But we will partner with them, but we will also do what we are good at, perform in-house where business awareness and process integrity are important. And we'll do this in the context of relevant, reliable, and responsible, the pillars to ensure process integrity and trust, which is so important to SAP. This reminds me of Taki-san, a conversational agent that I previously built in my most recent position at a pharmaceutical company. Taki-san was able to provide answers to the status of requests because everybody wants to know the status of the request. And he could do it for two types of requests. But if there were other types, it would reply, I don't know, or I don't understand. That wasn't a very relevant answer. Taki-san could provide an answer based on data exported every morning, but the data was up to 24 hours latent, depending on the batch job runtime. So he could give an answer that was over a day old, not very reliable. And how would you access Taki-san? It was via link. And if you had access to that link, you could get the status of something perhaps you shouldn't have. For example, the next approver or the amount of the request. This is not the approach of SAP. Relevant, Joule needs to understand the business context of the question. So if you're in sales and you ask about the status of an order, it will give you a response back in the context of a sales order and not a purchase order. It needs to work reliably and around the world based on transactional requirements necessary to execute in the SAP system. An SAP transaction can be, as you know, quite involved with many steps and validations to ensure success. It can't just air out with no path forward and leave you wondering, did it understand? It will be reliable and responsible. It has to ensure that you have the right access to execute on your behalf or provide insights that you have access to see. So there'll be 4 ways for for Joule to interact, informational, navigational, and all of this will be in the context and explain based on a finance related response. So examples show working capital KPIs or explain AR aging or navigational. SAP can be robust, but maybe a few clicks to get there. Joule, the new user experience, can make it happen with a simple navigational request. Go to my collections or work list or take me to a cash position. Here's where it gets interesting though, in the transactional and analytical. It's about transactional, it's about taking action. It lets finance users execute approved SAP transactions by asking Joule with the same controls as a traditional process. It results in creating, updating, closing a transactional document as if you were doing it in the solution. And analytics, it lets finance ask data questions in plain language and get charts, comparisons, and simulations, all working through Joule. So this does require a time to rethink finance for the AI era. I think this is so important, especially for the vision of Finance 2030. McKinsey had a phrase in their white paper, reimagine the finance operating model. We have the phrase, rethink finance. What is the difference between reimagine and rethink? Rethink is it's already here. And that's the reason we need to start considering this. There are over 380 AI use cases now, and more being invested in each quarter. This is no longer the time to reimagine, but it is the time to rethink and apply how things are done within finance. My daughter recently graduated from data science program at Penn State. Her last semester, incoming students were using Cloud to generate code to arrive at an answer sooner. This challenge for us is not to reimagine, but rethink this as a way to leverage embedded digital skills that get answers and actions sooner. Kind of like that HP 12C finance calculator. Before it came out, we had to do it. I'm not even sure how we would calculate NPD or IRR except in Excel. But rethinking how to use this, relearning how to use this, that's what we need to do too. Is just we know this, we know the concepts, rethink how we can apply AI to do things differently. So suite first, we've talked about AI first. Now let's talk about suite first. You know, with success comes more responsibility. As finance has the most trusted data, has proven itself time and time again, how do we reduce, more of your partners will be coming to you with ambitious and critical objectives. How do we reduce working capital or improve forecast accuracy or work with the CRO to provide new revenue models with subscriptions that has a proper revenue recognition? These can be challenging problems to solve. So the traditional way of doing ERP is based on moving data around, dealing with subledgers, consolidations, data warehouses, and potentially a performance issue or two along the way. There was always a latency in what we saw happen after the fact. Don't get me wrong, this wasn't a bad solution. It has run companies for over 50 years. However, it is not the platform needed for real-time data required by AI to meet those ambitious objectives. We have modernized our platform to deliver finance capabilities. It is the result of a move to the cloud approach, and it centers around the universal journal, the core master data for real-time and continuous financial record keeping. With this comes a single source of truth, whether it is receivables, procure to pay, collections, subscriptions, contract management actions, treasury, or cybersecurity. This gets instantaneously reflected in the Universal Journal Ledger so you see what is going on right now. And this happens without reconciliation, without batch processing, or data replication. These things create latency and reduce situational awareness of what's going on right now. And using those consolidated financials, we can use that as a foundation for enterprise collaborative planning at the corporate level that brings together business plans from marketing, sales, supply chain, and workforce with financial models so that our customers can have real-time insights and better steer the organization to be more effective in the future. And of course, we are enhancing these different processes with robust integration to SAP and non-SAP systems, using with user-empowered analytics and AI, agentic AI to help them draw conclusions more thoroughly and faster. AI, we all know AI is only as powerful as the data that feeds it. It has to be comprehensive, it has to be accurate, and it really should be close to real time. And that is why this integrated end-to-end financial platform leveraging the Universal Journal is so critical to help automate with touchless finance, anticipate what's coming up next with real-time accurate information, and a unified data, a single source of truth to embed AI on top of it. So that suite first approach is not about adopting every capability of the SAP Business Suite, nor is it about one-time adoption program. It is about extending a strong, reliable core to meet specific needs when they arise. This allows our customers to be agile and meet those challenging objectives that we talked about that come up. These capabilities are designed to integrate into and extend the Cloud ERP without breaking consistency or control. Plug and play with a little bit of configuration and a little bit of implementation. So let's walk through how these are at a high level. They're listed in order that our typical customers most commonly adopt first. And as we move down, capability maturity is more advanced to solve customer-specific business challenges. Financial planning and analysis, as CFOs, I won't go through this, but perhaps there's a need for profitability and cost management where you need to understand how to include allocations in your margin analysis, or you have so many SKUs that your current data lake, data process can't draw to a conclusion quickly. Or revenue management and new ways of working with customers regarding usage, regarding pricing and quoting, regarding rebates, working through different types of royalty and rebate management, or financial operations, which you're very familiar with, but maybe you have a need to focus on asset management that you're not doing today. Treasury, very familiar, I'm sure, as CFO with that, but it is about managing treasury and risk through an ecosystem of capabilities that includes banks, cash liquidity, and different types of risk, including commodity risk management. As oil hits over $100 a barrel, that could drive some commodity pricing And how do you mitigate or manage those risks? Accounting and close, won't go into that. You know this area well. Tax, I think you know well too. But maybe there's more requirements such as e-invoicing that mandates that are hitting more and more markets every year. France has theirs. I think Poland has theirs. Mexico, Brazil, new types of requirements and a solution that can meet those, not just here in the US, but around the world when they arise. Maybe there's transfer pricing that needs to be taken into account and how to maximize, how to manage that. Risk compliance and audit, the one that's been added perhaps to your plate that you are not sure how to approach, the controls and compliance management that goes with that to ensure segregation of duties, audit management to ensure there's transactions that are recorded and who's done what, international trade to approach and address those tariffs that keep changing around the world, and just in general enterprise risk management. There is at most transactional oriented that the leading finance groups have worked out, sales and order management, finance operations, the high transaction capabilities, accounting and close. These are typically the lower hanging fruit, heavy transaction, high transactions that can be automated with AI and intelligence. So I've taken a bit of time to go through at a high level the suite first capabilities of SAP. Well, let's talk about some of the value add capabilities beyond those transactional ones, such as planning and analysis, which is becoming more than reporting alone. This solution here, every company needs, right? That aligns the organizations, sales, HR, finance, marketing, the effective planning and forecasting. It seems like a holy grail. And to be able to set a plan of what should happen, get instantaneous actuals of what is happening, and forecast against those actuals for what will happen. A continuous closed loop from insight to action. The SAP approach to turn this into reality starts with leaving the data where it is at and layering on top of it the planning tools so that you can see and steer real time. Kind of like driving an intelligent vehicle on a cross country journey with that nice touchscreen, perhaps a Tesla or a Lexus. That gives you the ability to explore which way to go with predictive scenarios based on historical past to reach your sales goals, visualize and review the smart analytics that highlight what's green that you want more of and what's red to avoid, with scenario comparisons and guided recommendations to decide which way to go. Analyze a model where we will be when, giving the ability to adjust based on additional inputs and drivers, and not just one person, but a collaboration of people doing this. And not just at the end of the month, perhaps even a continuous cycle of it based on real time and alerts that make recommendations on the fly so you can decide which way to go next. Leverage direct connectivity to that source of truth. Actuals, kind of like GPS, it tells you where you're at any point in time. And getting out of spreadsheets into real time closed loops, monitoring from sight to action, kind of like assisted driving. This is one of the ones that is becoming more and more requested and needed as finance is sought to add value added capabilities. Another area is revenue management for any business model. This is not a one size fits all approach, but there are specific revenue models. And I haven't found one we haven't found one customer that says your revenue capabilities do not meet our revenue needs, our revenue model. This is quite robust. be that product and bundling, configure price and quote for complex quotes, be that usage, collection, pricing and charging, consolidated billing, revenue share. Which one, and this is important, right? You may not have a need now, but you may have a need in the future, and it's important to know that SAP has solutions that can fit any revenue model. Subscription management, perhaps the most important one for continuing revenues, and we see more and more need for. The last one for value-added activities, treasury and risk management. I think those go hand in hand. Allows you to identify and align your treasury policy built on an ecosystem of networked to various partners in the finance ecosystem. This solution meets the most common and advanced needs for our customers with centralized treasury operations, starting with the most basic as downloading payments, sending payments, bank statements, and such through bank connectivity. And even approvals in advance of the payments going out. This to me would have been helpful. I, as a global process owner, supported and had on my watch a $1 million payment where the decimal place was not entered and it turned into a $100 million payment because a coordinator did not enter that decimal point. And as a result of that, my EVP, I had a discussion with my EVP, and my CFO wasn't exactly thrilled either, that we had to contact the supplier. But if we had capability like this with a universal journal, with AI agents that would evaluate cash positions at the end of the day, with approvals before the payment was run, that could have been caught, and that risk of treasury and risk management could have been mitigated. But still, additional capabilities to collect bank accounts, create a central cash position, forecast liquidity and cash, determine where you have exposure, be that an FX or interest rate, and how to make investment decisions, and record that all in this treasury solution in a way that meets statutory needs. So, example finance AI use cases. We won't go into these, but there's 380 different examples that are just as tangible as these. Be that in cash management to help identify where there's cash shortages, accounts receivable to help prioritize which ones to go after to lower days of sales outstanding, or accounting accrual agents to make recommendations of what the accruals should look like for a populated list of journal entries. This slide is an example of the suite first approach of different organizations, not to solve all, but to solve specific business needs. Be that Watco with financial planning and analysis, or Telus with revenue, DSM with accounting and financial close to streamline that reconciliation and matching, or Pfizer to improve the risk and compliance with the SAP solutions. Please know that the AI first, suite first approach can help and will help our customers. So we started out with the Finance 2030 vision. We discussed the AI first, suite first approach of SAP. And AI first, what we focusing on, suite first, what we're asking our customers to focus on. In order to achieve this vision, SAP will continue to focus on the AI first strategy and deliver embedded AI agents that automate and anticipate. We ask our customers to focus on adopting not all of it, but those business suite of capabilities that will help meet those new business objectives that arise. And on that SAP Cloud ERP that reflects real-time and continuous activity, it will all come together to achieve that vision for finance in 2030. And with that, I would like to say thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mitch, for an excellent session. And thank you again to everyone for joining us today. This session, along with all of today's content, will be made available on demand following the event. Our next session will begin shortly at 1:45 Eastern, so please remain on the stage and the next session will begin automatically. We look forward to seeing you there.